Hello everyone, it's Simon from Higher Plane Games and I hope you're well. Today I'm launching the first paid initiative to try and support Higher Plane Games and the Higher Plane Network become more of a sustainable business that I can spend more time on, and it's paid playtesting. My day job is spent as a service and product owner and doing an awful lot of content design, and content design is all about words and structure of information. But I also play a lot of games, and whilst that doesn't make me a connoisseur and a sagey person with lots of advice and knowledge, what it does do is it puts me in quite a unique perspective to be able to talk about a product in a way that may help particularly indie developers with a small to next to no budget who want to get some really targeted user or product testing with something that they're building, either in like an alpha stage or some kind of prototype, or even if it's a vertical slice of your game so that you can see the different stages and how that kind of progresses and is it a compelling game to play. That's the kind of stuff that I can help with. What I would normally do, and apologies, this is a bit of a preamble before we get going, this video is an example of the type of thing that I would do. So what we do is you'd have my chops on the screen so that you can see what from my face, what delights or confuses me or puts up barriers. But I'll also be talking out loud, and it's thinking out loud is what you always try to strive for whenever you're doing a product test, because it helps you get inside the mindset of the user and you think more about what's their mental model, what are they thinking and feeling about the world, are things making sense, where were the barriers, where did they get stuck. And I'm particularly hot on accessibility and usability because that's what my day job largely revolves around. If you've ever been in the UK and used government services, part of my role is supporting some of that around on gov.uk. And so if you've been on gov.uk, you might have come across some other stuff that I've done. So I apologise, but also thank you at the same time because that's where I've cut my teeth. I want to give that to the indie dev world to help you along. So I'm going to dive into Bounce Castle, which is a game that I've literally had a notification from this morning that it's going into a playtest. I don't know the game from inside and out. This could be a complete reveal of what a playtest really is like, because I don't know what this game's about. So let's dive in and have a go. So we've got a nice little splash screen there. Oh, hello. We're straight in. I do quite like that artwork. That's a very busy home screen, but I quite like it. So, straight in out of the bat, I'm liking the vibrant colours, I'm liking the art style, and the quirky, cartoonish nature of it all. What's slightly distracting potentially for me is where am I supposed to click? So I've got some stuff that's making some squelchy sounds and I can see the visual change of the buttons as I move around. Where my eye first went was to Spooky Graveyard Playtest, and just clicking, that's not clickable, that's not clickable. That feels like it's clickable to wishlist on Steam. And we've got all of the rest. Now that pre-splash screen talked about let's dive into tutorial, but what I want to do before I do that is to just go into settings. And what I'm going to say just immediately off the bat. So if I'm thinking about accessibility, I'm thinking about consistency of font. And whilst we've got sans serif font here, which means that your letters aren't kind of joining all up together, which makes it much easier for people with dyslexia and dyscalculia, what I do find with this specific font here, see how those numbers feel quite thin. It's probably the best way to describe that. I'm assuming I can move those up and down. Yeah, I'm getting real-time feedback on that and I'm liking the colour change. Ambience. Fair enough. Doesn't change on the menu. Show keyboard icons. I don't know what that means. I'm assuming that is once I'm in the game what icon does what. But this font, I think, potentially has some issues, particularly around, can you see how those E's, it's quite close together because you've got a thicker pen for that wording and lettering and typography, if I could say it. Whereas, and it's thinner here, and I think what that shows, can you see how the X's don't all nicely align? Maybe this is more of an OCD thing for me, but this starts to translate into actually, if I'm looking at large swathes of information, and if that occurs later on in the game, not having things visually aligned then adds to someone's cognitive load, which makes it more difficult for them to make decisions, which means that actually it's really tiny little things, but they make a big difference if they compound and compile over time. So we'll keep an eye out for that. And notice how the font on this is much cleaner and crisper. Bigger because it's got more real estate on the screen to deal with it, but that makes an awful lot of sense to me. Whereas the previous font did not so much. That was a very quick loading screen. Oh, hello. I do like these, the artwork. Oh, it's like little flicker things, isn't it? Okay. Ah, what a beautiful day to be on patrol. Fair enough. Better look around for any danger. Move your character to the target area. Okay. So I've clicked to go and move. Okay. Do I need to... Ah, okay, right. So first things first, sometimes players don't always do what you need them to do. Case in point. And so notice how I'm kind of a little bit, I've now got UI over the top of instructions. So that's going to cause accessibility but cognitive dissonance just with how that all works. What I quite like about this initially straight off is we've got this visual cue of this is what you're trying to do. So select run, bold, to perform a movability green font. We'll come back to that, but with a symbol of sort. Then use your mouse to aim, get the right prediction line to the end within the target area, and then left click. I'm assuming that says to flick. Okay, so annoyingly that screen is gone, but when that came up with move, that came up with green font but came with a symbol as well. So what was that? Long range move, shot, run. I can see that there's a symbol there already. So what I'm trying to say is, from a perceivable perspective, if you go back to web content accessibility guidelines and apply some of those standards to game design, you've got colour and symbol as two ways to perceive something to be different from someone else. 1 in 9 men are colourblind. So, and particularly that's a problem with green and red. So if you're going to use green and red as ways to perceive things, you need to be able to have another way of perceiving it, so that you aren't disabling 1 in 9 males from playing your game and being able to perceive things correctly. Really tiny little things, but worthwhile talking about. So we've got a little orange arrow here, so I'm assuming that will click onto that. Okay, so this is slightly different but it's warned me about it, so I don't feel unprepared. Normally with these types of like flick and catapulty style stuff, you kind of press and hold and pull back on your mouse and let go, and that requires quite a lot of dexterity for people with fingers. So if we're thinking particularly around accessibility personas, if you've got anyone that's got arthritis or maybe limited use of their hands, that's not always a really helpful way of doing it. So I quite like this hands-off approach. I'm not having to click anything, I'm just having to move my mouse around. I think I quite like the faded chevrons in the background. That hand looks very 2D in a 3D world, and what I'm not quite... Yeah, so the hand reaches an end point, but okay, let's just click and see what happens. Oh, fair enough. Pop, pop. you look like an easy target. Much prefer this as a reading font compared to the options screen. It stands out so much on the page, and it's still got all of the accessibility, readability of what that's got before. So this is again another good thumbs up from an accessibility perspective and perception. So select the strike ability. Bold doesn't always pop up for anyone that uses accessibility software. It's largely ignored, and so that's very helpful for people with visual acuity, but with people who don't, then bold doesn't matter, basically. You can't always ask an accessibility software to read out everything in bold, for example. But I'm liking the fact that a melee attack is shown as red with a sword symbol. Melee abilities will cause an effect on your tokens that you collide with, in this case dealing damage. So an enemy is a token. Okay. Right. So I'm assuming I can select that and go across. That's a really awkward camera angle. Automatically, just through muscle memory, I want to right click on my mouse, which does seem to allow me to hover and move around. Does clicking on the mouse wheel let me rotate? No. Oh, hang on. But it's letting me zoom in and out if I roll in and out on the mouse wheel. Okay. I feel like I need a rotating camera ability to be told before I get to this, so that I can then line up my shot horizontally, if that makes sense. I quite like that there's a different symbol there to show where they're going to ping off to versus me. Quite a satisfying little clonk sound, like that. Hey, I like that guy, you'll pay for that. Fair enough. Oh, hello. I'll handle this one. Use the archer's shoot ability to kill the goblin. Huh? Shoot is an arrow that deals the minor lock back to the vehicle. Oh, okay, so not a white move. And it doesn't seem to be it seems to be just it carries on until it hits something. So I'm slightly conflicted about this using red, because we've already associated red with a melee attack, and this bow and arrow attack is not melee. So is red for attack rather than it being a melee attack, if that makes sense? Can't become clear. Again, a nice satisfying death sound. Hey, thanks. Seems like some of these goblins just came from another battle. Attacking crystals! Go on ahead, I'll catch you up. Okay. Bit sudden there. I do like the pretty gardenness of this. I like the instant of whatever that is. No, stop. Oops. I destroyed the crystal. Oh, so crystals have faces. I can feel the flow has been disrupted. Okay, when a flow crystal is destroyed, you'll lose flow. Okay. When you have no more flow, you lose. Protect the crystals. Okay, so crystals are like health points then. Is what I gather from that. That's my chance. I have to stop that goblin before he destroys another crystal. Fair enough. Enemies will move, then telegraph their attacks. Deal with enemy threats as best you can. At the end of your turn, the remaining enemies will perform their attacks. Okay. Dealing damage and destroying crystals. It's now your turn. Use your enemy's character's abilities. Okay. Your characters have energy shown here. That makes sense. Good old lightning strike always comes out as energy, doesn't it? Character's abilities have cost of energy shown here. Your characters will refresh. Okay. So again, I feel like I really want to be able to rotate this camera. I hope this isn't going to be a fixed camera perspective, because I think this will get in the way of an awful lot of things. But I'm going to ping it across. I think the other thing that's slightly throwing me off here is I'd like to have some kind of visual trigger that tells me I've reached the maximum extension of my shot, because I keep trying to pull my mouse back further and it's not happening. Oh, that's really annoying. I'm not liking... Can I move that over there? Yeah. That's not ideal though. And then I'm off the screen, so this doesn't... Yeah, he's gone. Or she's gone. I don't know what these characters' names are either. Which would be nice to know. Because they look quite cute. They just... I don't really know anything about them. Oh, this doesn't look good. Enemy portals, if left uncontested, will spawn a new enemy on the next enemy turn. If I could disrupt one of that. If I can disrupt one of that portal, it's not quite proper English. I can prevent an enemy from coming through. Move your warrior on top of the enemy portal. Then end turn. New portal taken on will be disrupted. Okay, fair enough. I'm guessing... Ah! Q&E. Hurrahs. I feel like that could have been more useful earlier on in this tutorial, if I'm honest. You have to be bang on? Oh no, mostly on. I'm going to end a turn because I've made it there. Great, everything looks saved here. I better check on the other crystals. Fair enough. Okay, so we had some English sentence structure issues. I feel like that camera control panel was very helpful, but came too late for me, because I was already starting to go, oh no, please don't make this a fixed camera perspective physics-based game, please no. Oh, hello. I like how crazy pool this feels like. Good thing you're with me. This looks like it will be a tough fight. Right, we just need to survive and protect the crystals until the enemies retreat. Okay. And I feel like we're going to go... So this one's going to do an attack, I assume, because of that red area. Do that first. And then it's got a little hourglass with a 1 on, so you can't spam. Okay. Useful to know, useful to know. Right, I then feel... My assumption, yeah, we can then switch to... So if I then do a firing... Deaded. And then if we move, because you can't attack anyone anymore, so I'll move you to cover this one. I've still got... It's a double click to move so that the camera then picks up the character. I quite like that. I can also see some people expecting that to automatically move when you actively select one to the other rather than it being like a double click, if that makes sense. Okay, so we're going to go a long range shot again. I think I want to, yeah. There's a slight, I can't tell if it's because you're limited to the play area or not, but I do like that trajectory line. It's just confusing Miss Sladley when you slightly spin around. Oh, I thought that was going to be just a move. Fair enough. Right, let's... Having it only move at 45 degrees is slightly... not annoying necessarily, but... Where can you go? Let's get you there. Oh, did I do that the wrong way round? I did, didn't I? Right, can I undo that? This looks undo-y. Oh no, there is no undo button. There we go. Overconfidence immediately causing problems. Uh-ohs! And I still think that arrow is going to hit that crystal, so we're probably going to lose one, and I don't want to move that character out of the way of the portal because then that will spawn 2 new enemies, which is less than great. Oh, it missed. Okay, fair enough. Oh wow, straight into the scene of the action. Okay, so desperately this needs an undo button, I think is my next thing, and I've just done the exact same thing again. If I right click before I get to the action, that's helpful. Okay, I'm gonna move that one there. Oh. So that was a move. And now I want to strike. And so that should move that out of the way. And I think what I hadn't quite understood before, if I zoom in, can you see how that's got these little orange arrows that came out? First time around with the archer, I thought that was them moving. And I think this goes back to, remember I was talking earlier on about melee attack being red, but then the arrow attack for our side is red, and this is orange. So what are we signalling here with our colour usage? Because if it's not consistent, then all we're doing is adding confusion to the mix for our players, which makes their cognitive load increase, which then means that it's making it tougher to make more decisions. And so it's really tiny, and I'm being finicky here, but that kind of thing is what causes people to... Wow, what the hell was that? I'm loving the crazy physics of the hits from the enemies, but yeah, wild. I think also with this, as you saw that archer person move around, they've lost a health point, but I couldn't see that actually get taken away from her at any point. Was that from the attack? Was that because they were hit? Was it because she hit these? Do these hurt because they're spiky? I don't know. So if I'm thinking of this kind of visual feedback from a from a player's perspective to know kind of what I should be concerned about, I'm not getting it. So that becomes a thing. All right, so let's select this person. Are we... Now it looks like we are going to hit them, but we're right on maximum. Yeah, we've done it. Okay, cool. I think then for me, this is all about running back again so that we can sort stuff out for the future. And again, if I do a bow here, are we going to hit you? We are. Okay. Right, so we got a couple of objectives done there. Bounces, distance travelled, enemies killed, environmental damage. So that is a thing, but it wasn't called out. Rollbacks. What was that? Don't know. Gold picked up. Didn't see any. Rollbacks now makes me think of that unwind or undo button. It isn't an undo button, but maybe it is, and it's just not turned on. Who knows? Tutorial complete. Join our Discord server and tell us what you thought. Was it understandable, fun, any bugs? Give us all your feedback, we'd love to hear it. Now put your kills to the test by selecting new game in the main menu. Okay. Aha, and then you get to go off and do your own kind of stuff there. So from my perspective, if I just looked at this from a tutorial perspective, you could see lots of things that were starting to pop up there, from accessibility of font, from perception around colours and consistency of styling, and what, if you're going to colour coordinate as well as putting colour palettes across things, the need for that to be consistent. There's also, when you're doing tutorialization and you end up in less than ideal situations, having certain controls dropped in at specific points then helps you stop to jump to conclusions and assumptions, because actually I quite enjoyed playing through this game, and there wasn't anything here from my perspective that would kind of instantly make me go nope and jump out. But I could see perhaps some people kind of going, oh no, you're stuck in just one view. What does these colours exactly mean? Where did I get my damage from? I think it's one of the key ones. Where's the undo button, if there is an undo button? And how does that work? And yeah, it's lots of little tiny things that are very easy to finesse and sort once you start to understand whether or not these are things that A, you want to tackle, and B, they're going to be replicable across multiple play sessions as you go. And that's not something that I can do because there's just one of me, but this is the type of thing that I can help you with to try and get on the treadmill of playtesting to make sure that your product is usable, understandable, accessible, and just removes the cognitive load from the things that you don't want it to be used up by, so that a player can really engage with your game and get the best out of it and have the best experience that they can. Any questions, let me know down in the comments, or pop over to higherplayinggames.com. Up on the main menu there's a option called paid playtesting, and you'll be able to see that across from there. I charge £25 for an hour's video of playtesting. That then gets uploaded onto YouTube with all of my commentary as it goes along, but then I'll also prepare a specific report that calls out all of the nuts and bolts of the main things that I'm tackling. Alongside that, if you have specific needs around accessibility and usability, I also operate with different user personas. So if you're making, say, a casual game that is very specific to people who just don't game, and you want to have that set up so that it runs like a persona, I can do that, because this is the type of thing that I have to do day in and day out in my day job as well. So hope that was helpful and informative. Anyone that's part of Bounce Castle, you got a freebie, so well done and thank you, and best of luck with your game. I'm wishlisting this, which I think is probably the best signal of all. And yeah, thanks for watching. Catch you all soon. Bye bye.